So I want to go over something because I was doing research, right? I was reading Luke chapter 8. I was reading Luke chapter 8. And I was in the parable of the sower. And I found something extremely funny. See, what a lot of people don't realize is that with any goal that you're going for, with anything that you're going for, whatever goal you are pursuing, you have to have a great foundation. People don't realize how important foundation is. See, people know foundation, but there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. See, knowledge is just knowing something, but wisdom is the application of knowing, of the knowledge you have. So you're applying what you know. So, yes, people may know foundations are important, but how much do you understand how important a foundation is? Like, in the parable, something stood out to me, right? It said in verse 8, but others fell on good ground, sprung up, and yielded a crop 100-fold. Now you may ask, what does that even mean? Like, but others fell on good ground. Foundation. So, I was doing a little research, right? I'm just going to draw this real quick. Right? So, we have something called the Empire State Building. I know it does not look like that, but it doesn't matter. Okay? There's something I was researching about the Empire State Building because it's an iconic building. Everybody knows about it. But it's something I realized, right? The Empire State Building. So, it is 1,454 feet tall. The building is 1,400 feet tall. Roughly 1,500 because it's over 50. So, we're going to say like roughly close to 1,500 feet tall. Very tall building, right? Not only that it's 1,500 feet tall, the building weighs 730 million pounds. 730 million pounds. And then it's 100, and I believe, hold on, let me see, 102 stories. So, this building is 102 stories tall, weighs 730 million pounds, which is like 365,000 tons, something like that, right? And then it's 1,400 feet tall, right? The funny thing is, the foundation is only 55 feet. Just let that sink in. Like 55 feet, which is roughly 3 stories, is holding 102 stories and 730 million pounds. Now you may ask, okay, what does that mean? Like, how does that matter? Right? And what I realize is that, hey guys, sorry to interrupt, but I do have a free offer on the table for people who feel lost, people who feel like they have a lack of direction on where they want to go in life, people who want to actually find what their purpose is. I actually want to understand what it is they want to do and be aware of the person they want to become. I do have it. It's linked in the description. You can go check it out, and you go back to the video. The foundation didn't have to be extremely deep. It didn't have to be 1,000 feet. It didn't have to be 200 feet, 300 feet, 400 feet. The foundation just had to be strong enough to hold a building of such caliber. Now, when you look at that now, if you look at it from not a physical, but like maybe a mental or spiritual perspective, that means whatever you're doing, whatever goal you're going for, however you're trying to, whatever pathway you're pursuing to get rich, whatever fitness endeavor you're going on, whatever personal development you're trying to achieve, what truth are you building your destination on? Let me put it in perspective, right? So that's what really put in perspective. What what truth, meaning this is your foundation, what truth are you building your guidelines to your destination? Because remember, your navigation, right? What does it do when you put a destination inside of your navigation? It develops steps, right? So when it develops these steps, those steps are the guidelines that are taking you towards your destination, right? But before you receive these steps, your foundation is going to be, in this example, your navigation, which is the AI or the satellite, whatever the case may be, right? So with that being said, whatever goal you're pursuing, whether it be scaling your business, trying to get rich, whatever pathway you're trying to do, or your fitness endeavors, or even becoming the best version of yourself, what are the truths you're building these guidelines off of? Because even if you look back in the scripture, any plant, any seed that fell on not so good of ground end up failing. Because there's a difference between truth and something that's true, right? Something that's truth is something that's the same today, tomorrow, and forever on. Like, for example, gravity. Gravity hasn't changed since we ever even knew about it, right? Because there's never a day I threw this up in the air and it didn't fall back down, right? But something that's true is Elijah's wearing a brown sweater. Yeah, today I'm wearing a brown sweater. Tomorrow I could be wearing a blue sweater, a green sweater, a black sweater. So it changes. All statements were true though. But every time, in every different circumstance, it changed. So that's why you have to ask yourself, when creating your foundation, what truth are you building your guidelines on, right? And that moves on into the next step, which is becoming. You have to ask yourself, who am I becoming? Like, what when I'm going for this goal, when I'm trying to achieve this goal, whether it's becoming scaling your business, becoming rich, fitness endeavors, or even becoming the best version of yourself. Regardless, these principles apply. So you have to have a great foundation, and next thing you know, you have to know who you're becoming. Because if you don't know who you're becoming, then you have a lack of direction. See, for example, I have two examples for you, right? Actually, hold on, let me erase this first. Two examples, right? First one we want to do is a job. So, we're going for a job. There's 3 phases to a job, just to keep it simple, right? There is application, interview, and you're hired, right? So when going for a job, you first have to apply. You have to let the people know that the job you're applying for, that, hey, I'm the best candidate. Hey, it's me, right? Because what they're looking for is a person who's already fit for the job. So when you make that application, you're letting them know, this is a little brief snippet of, hey, I'm the person for the job. I'm already that person you're looking for, right? So now, boom. Oh, you like your application. So now they invite you for an interview. Now, this is the time where they're really trying to see, hey, is this the person we're looking for? Like, do we want to hire this man or this woman? Because if you're not the person they're looking for, they're not hiring you. You have to already be that person, or else you're not going to be fit for the job, right? So now let's say you do. That's the person. You're the person they're looking for, and you get hired. Why? Because guess what? You was already the person they're looking for. You became the person they was looking for before applying to the job. So now when you apply for the job, it was like a 1, 2, 3 step. You applied, you got your interview, and now you're hired. Right? That's a simple example of when you become the exact thing, it changes everything. Another example is when it comes down to a plant. Very simple. Everybody know what a plant is. Trees, flowers, etc., right? A plant. These are steps of the plant. First, it's the seed. Seed is planted, right? Then it generates roots, right? This is the foundation, as we were just talking about. Yeah. That looks nasty, but anyway, that's foundation, as we were just talking about, right? And then you have the plant stage, and then you have the fruit, right? So with an apple tree, first is the seed. The seed was planted into the ground, good soil and everything. Now it has a good foundation, it has roots and good soil, so now it can prosper, right? Then it becomes the plant, because before an apple tree can become an apple tree, it has to become a tree first. It has to become the actual tree that produces the fruit before it produces the fruit. Do you follow what I'm saying? So, first it has to become a plant. So, it's so funny. Those are two examples. In nature and in regular everyday life. In both examples, you had to become the thing before you receive the very thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because, and also, even with just the plant part, you had to have a good foundation before it became a plant that can prosper and produce fruit. Had to have a good foundation, because if it didn't have a good foundation, it would just wither away. Or if it didn't have a good foundation, then it would just failed. It would never grew. Do you see what I'm saying? So, once it became the plant that could produce the fruit, which is the last step, which I kind of spoiled it, but the last step is production. Production. Because when you become the actual thing that you're going for, when you become the plant, or you become, say, or even for the examples I've been using, scaling your business, when you become the person that has that, say you want to scale your business from $1 million to $10 million, right? When you become the person that can run a $10 million business, that's when you have that $10 million business. When you become the person that is disciplined in their fitness endeavors, they're disciplined in their workouts, they're eating right, they're very disciplined in all their habits, you become that person that's very fit. When you're disciplined, when you become the person that is on track to become like a better version of themselves, you're determined to do this, right? So you're enabling the habits inside of yourself and implementing these habits so that, guess what? The fruit is going to be produced, because as you continue to enable these habits inside of yourself, you just end up becoming a better version of yourself. You see what I'm saying? If you ever notice, even just to step back to the becoming side, rich people, middle class people, and poor people all think very similar. Each class thinks very similar. Why? Because, excuse me, each class thinks better. Each class thinks similar. Why? Because rich people, before they became rich, they were already on that caliber of thinking. Before a person became middle class, they were already on that caliber of thinking. And before, a person actually was just poor. They say they stayed there, right? Because when we're born with nothing. For the most part, most of us born nothing, right? You stay here. Why? Because you've always stayed with this caliber of thinking. You see similarities in each class. Why? Because you never became you have to become the person before you reach that status. So if you ever wanted to become rich, you have to think like a rich person. You have to do things take on their beliefs. You can't be the same person you were yesterday. You understand what I'm saying? And this last step is always going to just be inevitable. It's production.